Nex Benedict's high school was reportedly conducting conversion therapy in their restrooms. We need to talk about this. Welcome everyone to Powered by Rainbows. I am of course your host, Professor Pride. And for the past couple days, you've seen us report on this story of Nex Benedict out of Owasso High School in Oklahoma, USA. And the more you read, the more you study on this case, the more truly terrifying it is to live there. And the more terrifying the whole situation is, the more transphobes and homophobes you find. And today is unfortunately no different than that terrifying feeling that we've all had for the past couple weeks now, since this happened on February 7th, 2024. You have the governor signing into law a law that would make it so that trans people were forced to use the wrong restroom, which placed Nex Benedict in the wrong restroom that day to get beaten up. You have the state superintendent of schools adding a known terrorist to the board, the advisory board, to oversee all libraries in the entire state of Oklahoma, even though that terrorist does not live in the state of Oklahoma. You have the school that didn't call the parents right away as soon as this happened, that called the grandmother only because the nurse thought it was important to call them and tell them, hey, by the way, your grandchild is injured, just so you know, no need to alarm you. And then the hospital didn't keep them overnight for observation, even though the state medical board said that's required for a child that loses consciousness. And you have them succumbing to their injuries the next day and unfortunately passing away. So the entire story here is revolved around a lot of different people and their transphobia. And so the more we read, the more sad we get. But unfortunately, as we've been reporting on this, it is fortunate that the stories are coming out and you're, in the audience, you've been willing to share with us what's been going on in Owasso High School. Those who went to high school there have been commenting on all of our coverage of this. And you've been sharing some things that have happened that maybe we don't know about. I'm deeply grateful that you're sharing your stories with us, because it's important to get the stories out there. And while I won't share every single story that's been shared with us over the past couple days, it has been alarming, by the way, the number of these stories that we've been able to verify happened through multiple reports and multiple sources now. It is just truly alarming how many of these stories are 100% real, that happened in this high school, and the state is not doing anything to stop it. In fact, at this point, I'm sort of encouraged to say that the state is encouraging these actions of violence to occur, and this is exactly what was planned all along, is just outright murder. And so while we sit here, mourning the loss of Nex Benedict, honestly, it sounds like the state of Oklahoma and many different transphobes there are celebrating this as a win for them. And it's almost by design, these acts of violence keep happening at this high school. And so the first real big story you need to know is that Nex Benedict was not the first 16-year-old LGBTQ person to die, even in the same high school, okay? Back in August 5th of 2021, a 16-year-old junior at Owasso High School reportedly committed suicide because of all the anti-LGBTQ bullying he was receiving from the students and the school staff. His name, by the way, I'm going to transfer to this, was Windsor Elijah Redenor. He went by the name Eli for short. He was born on November 24th, 2004 in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, and grew up and received his education at Owasso High School, where he was currently attending as a junior year. He was employed with Very Good Handyman, where he was a laborer. Elijah enjoyed playing the guitar, swimming, playing video games, reading, writing, and drawing. Honestly, another kid. Just sounds like a wonderful kid to be around. And unfortunately, on August 5th, 2021, he reportedly committed suicide because of all the anti-LGBTQ bullying that he received from both the students and the teachers. It is so saddening to hear the Nex Benedict story and then to realize that they weren't even the first person that died in this high school because of this bullying. It just breaks your heart over and over. That's what this case does, and that's what this high school does. It breaks your heart over and over and over again. People keep saying that, they're trying to keep this school safe, and they're trying to make the kids safe in these schools. Then maybe do your fucking jobs and keep the kids safe. Don't push them to suicide. And what's coming out right now is that multiple teachers and counselors at the schools were told that Eli's depression was this bad in the months leading up to his apparent suicide. You're told a kid has depression and they might do this, and you don't immediately go to stop it? All of this would be truly terrible enough on its own that you might say, let's just give up on Owasso High School or Oklahoma in general and consider it a lost cause. But I think there's one more story that we need to tell you about because of how important it is. And that is the story of another trans student at Owasso High School who reported that they were called slurs daily by teachers of the school. Yeah, just homophobic and transphobic slurs. They were called daily at school. A place that was supposed to keep them safe, by the way. Then they report they were sexually assaulted in the restroom by a teacher of the school in a practice known as corrective rape. Now, if you're not familiar with what this is, it is a form of conversion therapy. Corrective rape, also called curative rape or homophobic rape, is a hate crime in which one or more people are raped because of their perceived sexual orientation, such as homosexuality or bisexuality. The common intended consequence of the rape, as claimed by the perpetrator, is to turn the person heterosexual. The Owasso High School is reportedly doing conversion therapy and corrective rape in their restrooms. And then the worst part of the story is, this person is reporting that the school refused to transfer them to another class with a different teacher. Yeah, a teacher sexually assaulted them in the restroom of their high school, and the school didn't immediately transfer them to a different class. So they were forced to endure seeing their perpetrator every single day of school. The administration of the school was made aware of the incident and told the trans person that they needed to keep quiet as to not ruin his life. Maybe you should ruin his life. He reportedly committed sexual assault in your restroom on a student, and you're like, let's not ruin his life. At this point, this story enrages me so much because these people have been attacking Eli. They have been attacking Nex Benedict for the past couple weeks now and saying, we need to protect our kids. If you're trying so hard to protect your kids, you wouldn't let them get sexually assaulted in the restroom by a teacher. You would fire that teacher. You would charge them with this crime. You would tell the student, please blast it from the mountaintops, this happened to you. You wouldn't say you're going to ruin the life of the teacher by speaking up. You wouldn't keep them in that same class. Like, what in the world is going on in Owasso High School? And I know some people out there might say, like, this is just a report that's coming out, but this same person reporting this sexual assault is the person who brought us to the Eli story, and that one was verified 100% with the reports online and the obituary. There's multiple reports of Eli committing suicide, and there's multiple reports of, and their obituary alludes to that as much as an obituary normally does. And so, I can't 100% verify any story because I don't go to Owasso High School, luckily, but I can say with as much certainty as we can that these reports probably are true. And the fact that all of this is happening right now does not surprise me anything of what happened in the past. I mean, the response this school has to the Nex Benedict story is truly it's basically a masterclass in how not to respond to a child's death in your school. And everything else that's coming out now from before this happened, you know, you're very much cited to believe every single report now because of truly how terrible Owasso High School is. And so not only this, but we have plenty of people in our comment section letting us know that they were an LGBTQ member in Owasso High School, and they were sharing with us different stories of what happened to them. It all pretty much aligns with this conversion therapy that they're reportedly having done in the restrooms of their high school. Everything sounds to me like they're trying to convert LGBTQ people, and if they can't do that, they're okay with you committing suicide or dying, because the response seems like it's designed to push you to suicide or push you to conversion therapy, and if you don't do that, I mean, that's the typical conversion therapy thing, right? So we talk about conversion therapy on this show all the time, where basically you go to a camp and they say either you change to being cisgender and straight, or here's a knife and we're going to show you how to end your own life. That's literally what conversion therapy sometimes does. And if you don't do it, they still to this day perform lobotomies and all these different medical tests on you to see if they can change you to being cisgender and straight again, even though, again, you know, the way it's worded is like as if you were cisgender and straight in the first place. To hear that this is going on in their high school is just one of the most enraging things we've ever heard. And to know this is a public high school where public funding is going towards this sort of thing, honestly, it makes you want to give up on Owasso High School. But truly what could happen right now is President Joe Biden could direct the Department of Justice of the United States to look into Owasso High School, the corrective rape therapy, the conversion therapy going on, the suicide of Windsor Elijah Rendor, the murder of Nex Benedict, and every single other story. Honestly, go after this. Please, please go after this high school for everything. Honestly, I would be amazed if this high school was able to survive whatever sort of investigation that the DOJ can bring down on them. But honestly, at this point, I feel like raining hell down on this high school and this administration is not good enough at this point. Because how many kids are made to suffer every single day just because they are LGBTQ? Look, being in high school is hard enough when you're different at all. If you're a little bit overweight, if you're, your eyes are a different color than someone else, or if you're trying to figure out, how to be a cool kid and if you're a little bit nerdy and you don't fit in with the jocks and the cheerleaders and stuff, high school is hard enough on its own, let alone being LGBTQ and being pushed through conversion therapy and all of that in your high school. Like, your teachers are calling you slurs on a daily basis, and somehow this school is surprised all of this happened and the students murdered another kid. Like, no, that's the behavior that you're emboldening these students to make. I mean, you have a governor that's saying, yes, we should discriminate against LGBTQ people. You have a superintendent who brings a known terrorist onto the advisory council. He regularly, by himself, as the superintendent of all Oklahoma schools, repeatedly discriminates against LGBTQ people. He brings a known terrorist onto his advisory council who repeatedly goes after LGBTQ people and pushes them to suicide, pushes her audience to go commit actual mass murder in Colorado Springs at Club Q. You have how many people across the board in this school and the system above it that are discriminating against LGBTQ people? Then you have a teacher who is reportedly committing sexual assault in the restrooms on LGBTQ people, and they're doing conversion therapy reportedly in their high school. And then you have the students who are following this example. Students do not just hate people, okay? They need to be taught how to hate. And at this point in the story, with as much evidence as we now have, with as much verified stories as we have, I am sort of forced to say here, this was not an accident. Nex Benedict was not an outlier. Nex Benedict was not murdered, and it was just a surprise to everyone. This was by design. This is what anti-LGBTQ advocates have been wanting for decades now. They've been wanting to push us back in the closet and make us fear them. And they've been murdering us on the street, in our restrooms, in our high schools. I know in moments like these, it's so easy to just throw in the towel and give up on Owasso High School, Oklahoma, or the entire system in general. I know how easy that is because right now I'm just as sad as you are, reading all these stories and hearing all these reports that are coming out, and it's alarming how many that we can verify are true. And even the ones that we aren't able to verify right away, I am inclined to believe because truly it fits with everything else we're able to verify 100%. And so I know it's hard right now. I need you to know that things will be okay. There's plenty of people out here working to and fighting for our rights and freedoms, fighting for these people to go away and stop harassing us, to stop having this legislation come after us time and time again. Please know there are way more people out here that love LGBTQ people than hate them. 80% of US Americans that are not members of the LGBTQ agree that LGBTQ people should have the same legal rights and freedoms as everyone else. 80%, which means everyone doing this right now is part of the 20% of non-LGBTQ Americans. This far-right movement in our country of neo-Nazi politicians and activists are the problem here. And the DOJ needs to investigate them. They need to put some of these individuals away under lock and key forever. Otherwise, the rest of the group will never learn their lesson, and they'll keep harassing, they'll keep assaulting, and they'll keep murdering us. So this is my call. Please, if you're out there and you want to help, please go and volunteer your time at a local equality project. Go volunteer your time to go ask politicians to make these changes and to pass legislation that would help the LGBTQ. Write a letter to President Joe Biden to ask him to please send the DOJ to investigate and rain hell down on Owasso High School. Please go out there and ask your Congress member, your senator, and your representative to pass the Equality Act to make it where every LGBTQ person gets the same rights and freedoms as everyone else in our country right now. The Equality Act is on their table right now, and they could pass it if they wanted to. And if they don't, remember this moment. Remember Eli's name. Remember Nex Benedict. And vote them out of office. That is the only way they're going to learn that we cannot continue this behavior where we divide our country and keep creating more and more problems because it's a good campaign slogan for next time. Republicans want LGBTQ people to go away. The Democrats want the LGBTQ people to continually have no rights because it's a good campaign strategy next time. Because, hey, it's easy to get LGBTQ people to vote for you if you can continually say to them a promise of, I'll get you rights next time. I'll pass this legislation next time. Both parties want to divide us right now. Both parties want these problems to continue. Otherwise, they have no campaign strategy next time. Maybe it's time our politicians actually solve one problem in their entire legislative term. Maybe it's time that they stop dividing our country and pushing us towards a civil war. Maybe it's time that they actually do something for the money we pay them, or maybe it's time they be replaced. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want the full timeline of events of everything that transpired in the Nex Benedict story, please go to ProfessorPride.com right now. The entire timeline is available over there on our website for you to read. So thank you so much for watching. Have a gay day, everyone, and bye for now.